Hi everybody, this is Diane. Thank you for coming to see me in my studio today, my pretty pink cottage. I am here to show you 5 Stash Buster journals that I've finally completed. They took a lot longer than I thought they would, but I did get to use up some stash. Didn't really quite put a dent in what I have, but at least I got to share some of it with those of you who will make purchases here. So without any further ado, let's get started. We have 5 journals to look at. Each one will come with a packet of goodies. I'll go through this at the end if you want to stick around, excuse me, for that. First we have the Fuzzy Duckling. These are all made with, this one is a golden book and the other ones are a Bonnie book, Whitman. They're all the same size, this size book, that type of book. So this one is the Fuzzy Duckling, and it is an old version of it. You can tell by this old style of back cover. That was like the original cover, I believe. And this was in really good condition. It does have some foxing along the edge here, but it wasn't even shabby enough to require book corners. I added some fabric yo-yos and a little vintage game letter D for Duckling, and vintage pom-pom. And on the edges of each of the covers, I just wrapped around some pattern paper because it was a raw edge where I took the book apart. Look how good that cover is inside. No writing, no scribbling. This is pattern cardstock and a bingo paper with a digital handkerchief corner and a colored tag that I stamped on. I'm going to make sure I am where I need to be here. And I clipped some things to some of the pages. You will, like I said, be receiving that packet, but some items are also clipped to the pages that you can take off and use in the journal. This is a couple of tickets and a punched flower. These are both digital images on a calligraphy paper. It's got diagonal slanted lines for doing calligraphy. That side's blank. Some of the book pages are in each book, but not all of them. This book is from 1949. So this is an image from a children's book, and I just grouped it with a ticket and a circle that I punched out of cardstock, made a little tuck spot, and then I took an animal card and I added some papers you can write on, but you can still see the information about the animal. This is a roseate spoonbill. This is a digital flash card. Some more digitals there. I added some fun cards. Most of the cards that are in here, I think, are ones that I bought from Leslie's shop, Vintage Paper Emporium, and I bought some recently, but I also had some from previous purchases. She always has fun stuff in her shop. I will link it below. I think both of these were in the recent batch that I bought. This is vintage wallpaper, and I added this ruffled cotton fabric there. Some images that I stamped. This is for some sort of a record book, and I added this little embellishment that I made with cardstock and a piece of an old apron. Pretty paper. Large index card with an embellishment that I had made in a previous video. This is out of a little children's book with beautiful color photography, so there's one of these pages in each book. This is just a pocket, a plain pocket that I had in my stash that I made with a scrap of cardstock, and I added this digital. Here's another card and a digital card you can write on the back, and an old photograph from 1939, Lawrence, Massachusetts. It says Cousin Joe. So one of those ladies is Cousin Joe. Here is a little golden book card. It came in a set of cards that I bought a long time ago, and I just added a strip of cardstock to bind it in with, and then I put a pocket on the back with a altered index card and a little squirrel card, a vintage children's card. This cardstock paper has a pocket that I made out of a master board. I did some collaging on it and added a tag that I made with an old map. And this gentleman is not a digital. He's from a really, really old magazine or newspaper. I think this part is digital. And this is a digital card. There's a nice, fun gold paper clip here. And tucked in is a skunk game score sheet, a unused beverage label, and some yearbook photos from the 1930s. You can do what you like with those. Here's a digital, not digital, a vintage greeting card. Some stationery. This was a tag that I made. It's got wrapping paper, vintage wrapping paper on it, and I used a die to cut out the bread tab, digital tag. And then this is a vocabulary card that I used modeling paste and sprays and stuff on it. A plant card came in the greenhouse box, and a little colored gridded card. I'm not going to take all of these pieces out, but there are lots of little pieces tucked into this slotted pocket. You can use them throughout the book and replace them with your own ephemera that you collect, or you can just write little notes on the backs of these. This was the back of this. You can write on here, but this was all text, so I just added scraps of lined paper that you can write on and embellished with a stamped piece and a ticket. We have a chili dilly pickle bag here, and I again used a strip of cardstock to bind it in, and I just cut a tag to go inside the bag. Here's a book page, a random book page that didn't come out of this book. This is a vellum bag that I had collaged on. It has some vintage lace on it, vintage music. I stamped this in a vintage stamp and this vintage number. It's all vintage except for the bag itself and the stamped piece. And here's a guest check, and it also has some vintage pieces on it, I think. No, these are not vintage. And I forgot that I had already put this on the back side. So this is like a bonus pocket for you. This is a fun pocket. It's made with a vintage magazine ad for All Sweet New Instant Flavor Margarine. And here's another tag that's made with a master board, and it's got a vintage little fabric price sticker on it. It wraps around to the back. I added a piece of ruffle here. This is from a planner book. Here's a tiny little tuck spot made with an embellishment. It's got a little wooden button on it and just a couple of little tiny playing cards tucked in. It's another piece of that calligraphy paper. Here is a very old flashcard with a goat on it. And it's got some pen scribbles on it. I could have covered them up, but I'll let you do that. I could have covered it with washi tape or strips of paper, but I'll let you do that. This was a pocket that I made with this manila cardstock stencil. It came out of a book, and I did some stamping in the background and sprayed it with colors. That's a digital lab experiment card that I backed with coffee dyed paper and a little digital card. Here is a telling time card, and a little glassine envelope that has vintage photo corners. There are 2 sets. This one has a silver and looks like a white set. The other ones might be different, but each journal gets 2 sets of 4, so there's 8 photo corners in there. I thought this would be a good page to put some photos on, or other pages in the book. This is from a Mary Engelbreit calendar. I dream of painting, and then I paint my dream. Vintage wrapping paper with a little collage. This came from a vintage almanac book, a vintage math book for elementary school, and this is a digital, and someone helped me remember where I got these, and it was Crafty Cat, so I'll find that and link it below. The set that has all these little AI, they look like fabric pockets. This is a digital, and this is a piece that I actually purchased, but I made a digital out of it. This is one that was in a digital set that I purchased. Vintage wallpaper border, and I just glued a guest check to the back so you can write on it. This is a fun little card. I got a bunch of these cards from a vendor mall, so it was antiques and vintage stuff, but these don't look very old. But I got 2 sets. I think I got 2 sets of them, or maybe I just got 1 set. But they were fun. I thought they'd be really fun to include. So there were different things, flowers and bees and rainbow and just different things. This is a really heavy index divider for large index cards. There's a cow card and another little golden book. This is a postcard that was in a set of golden book postcards. This came from a large cardstock envelope that contained big X-ray sheets. I think I got it at a flea market. I've had it for years, and I finally cut the envelope up and decided to just have it ready to use. So there it is. This is a digital, and I tucked in this digital and this advertising piece that was in a modern magazine. It has an iPhone. It had these iPhones in different designs, iPhone covers, I guess. There's the Snuggle Bear on the back. You can add some paper to the back to write on. The Snuggle laundry fabric softener. This is vintage stationery with some ducks on it, because this is the Fuzzy Duckling book. And on this paper clip is a vintage stencil of a letter and a Monopoly Junior money and card. And on this side are 2 cards, a playing card and a children's card. I'll go through the other ones much more quickly. This one is a masterboard made with a lot of different vintage wrapping papers and then scraps of paper. This is also vintage wrapping paper, as is this girl here. This was just a stick that came with some fraction cards. So each journal gets one of those. You can use it as a bookmark. You could like staple it. I don't know if it would glue down because it's kind of plasticky, so I don't think it would adhere with glue, but you could staple it somewhere. And here is a fun library pocket. This was an image that was in a catalog for porcelain or china figures. Looks like a little egg cup or something, but he's cute. And I put a library card in there. It's really paper. And a tag that I stamped on. And each journal is just tied with some seam binding. So there's the Fuzzy Duckling. Now I'm going to put all of these in one listing because I don't have a lot of time. It took me forever to make these, and I'm spending a lot more time doing the finishing touches and the videoing and everything than I expected to today. So I'm just going to put them all in one listing, and there will be a drop-down box with the title. This one is Simple Pictures to Color, and this is a Bonnie book. And a lot of the Bonnie books had interactive covers. They had things, just a dial to spin or just different things. They were always fun. I wasn't familiar with Bonnie books till I started doing junk journals. But whenever I come across a Bonnie book, there's always some interactive feature. Not always, but mostly on the front. So apparently this has pictures to color inside, and it looks like there's paint around the holes here. So I believe that the holes on this front page would have had some paint that was dried on the page, and then the child would, you know, put their wet paintbrush in and get some paint off to color the pictures. I put a P for pictures, and this fabric ruffle and some yellow pom-pom. This one does have book corners. In the video where I was adding the decorations to the cover, I said I would link these book corners, but Amazon doesn't have them anymore. I needed to order more, but they don't have them. So I looked and looked until I found some that were not quite as plain as these, but I'm hoping I'm going to like them. So I did link them in the video where I was decorating the covers. And this one needed some work because of these holes. It's a little bit wobbly here, you can see. And I just put this piece of cardstock on it to help strengthen that corner a little bit. And my hole punch was just the right size to make those holes. And I stamped on the background. This is a vintage beverage label and a digital milk cap. So again, I just put in pockets and tags and cards and all kinds of things that were already made in my box of ready-made ephemera. So I thought it was time. I still have a lot of ephemera in that box, but I thought it was time I start using it. So there's that. These are cut from a vintage greeting card, and this is gift wrap. The little boy and the red behind him are both from gift wraps. And these are digitals. It's one of the pages, and I added a piece of ephemera. This book is from 1954. These are digital pieces, and I added a card with some paper. It has 19 oranges. That's the digital flash card. Wallpaper, some stamped items. Some of the coloring pages were either colored with paint. This one has some of the paint on it, and some of them were colored with crayons. Some of them aren't colored. This was from a book about keeping track of books you read. So it says my book lists, and I added ruffle to that. So you can journal about books that you read there. Large index card. Here's a page from that picture book. Here's a pocket that was in my stash. And so this was a card in my stash. She was made from, sorry, a book about sewing. And there's a vintage photo. And it's also 1939. And this probably taken the same time because it's September 39, Lawrence, Massachusetts. And it's me and Joe and Ma. Not me. Whoever the other person is in those photos. Scrapbook paper, and I made this pocket out of, I think this is a digital background paper, and I added those elements. I made a tag with a file folder, ledger paper, and some stamps, and a digital. So it has some of the same elements, like the yearbook photo and beverage label and a page to write on. Those are in all of the books. So are the Golden Book cards, but they're all different. That's a playing card. I didn't put papers along the edge to reinforce the fragile pages. That adds a lot of bulk there, and I just thought you would know to be careful in turning the pages. There's a vintage card. I just added some die cut elements there. These are both digitals. And this was a piece of ephemera, probably Tim Holtz ephemera. A pocket that I made from a master board. It's got a little stamp and some lace on it. This is a copy of an envelope that I have in my possession, but I just made a copy of it and backed it with coffee dyed paper. That is a vintage bottle neck label for orange beverage. You can take this paper clip off and open that up. So you can write on that and then flip that over this way and write on that if you want to, or put a little picture or a piece of ephemera there, or down here, because you can actually write on that easily. There's a Chili Dilly pickle bag again. This was taken from the cover of an uppercase book, I think. It's nice and sturdy magazine, uppercase magazine. And another tag made with a masterboard. There are the photo corners. This is another Mary Engelbreit calendar page, and I think all the rest of them have this kind of page. I had two different calendars. So I just split the doodle part off and put it in there separately. Then if there was writing on the calendar, like there was on this one, I glued on some papers that you could write on. There's one of those digital pockets from Crafty Cat. These are both digitals. It's from a different book about birds. This is wallpaper. I just put some cardstock on there, a digital card, and a circle card, pizza. Whoops, I was only supposed to put one in there. A bus, they were stuck together. Here's another one of those cards. I guess that is painted with paint. I was thinking that was crayon. This was 3 little strips of paper I had left over. I just glued them together and then added these little digital and stamped embellishments and put this little digital reel card in there. You can write on the back of it. We've got the same pieces, different playing cards. This is a digital from Red Deb. She has a lot of retro looking digitals that are fun. Red Deb. I'm not sure where I got this one, but this is an actual piece of ephemera. This is a card on learning how to write in cursive. And again, it's the skunk sheet and a Scattergories sheet. There's a card and a number card. This is a group picture from an old yearbook. Some singing group, I think. The tag made with wrapping paper and the stick tag. This is a gymnastics paper. And we have 2 little pockets here that I stamped with some things tucked in. These are both digital food items, and I stapled a digital milk bottle cap onto that. And my signature is on the back of something in the back pocket. on all of the journals. All right, let's try to quickly go through the other 3 journals. That one was simple pictures to color. There will be a photograph of each cover, so you'll be able to remember. This is the cap that Mother made, and it's a Junior Elf book. And I found the letter C for cap, made a medallion to put on there, covered up this corner. It had a triangular print down here, some words. So I used a digital handkerchief corner there. Digital pom-poms, and then this green gingham ruffle that Leslie sent me when I ordered those cards. She sent me some extra goodies. Thank you, Leslie. I love the colors on this. These are digitals from Red Deb. It's a Swedish fairy tale, the cap that Mother made. There's a children's illustration, and I just cut this little piece of cardstock to add to it. And there's a chipmunk card with the papers for writing on. I have some extra photos here, so I'm going to try to make sure I remember to look for photos. I'm not sure if I put one in every journal. Digital flashcard, wallpaper border, an element that I made with scraps, large index card, the picture book page. Yep, this one has a photo. Me, Tony, and Joe. So Joe is the tall lady, and the girl that's writing on it is this one here. September 39. I didn't realize I was putting the same people. Not that it matters. I think it's cool that they all go together, but I don't think everyone has the same group of people. This is a fun card with fairy tales. I remember getting that at a vendor thrift store. These are digitals. The pocket is a scrap of paper. Fabric ruffle there. Greeting card. A little element that I made with leftovers. This pocket's been in my stash for a long time. I made this library pocket. I was gonna say, I think it's a ready-made library card pocket that I covered, but no, I made it. That's vintage ledger back there. And it's got a dried flower here. It's covered with Mod Podge, just the flower. And an author's card with Shakespeare. Again, this, you can take the paper clip off and write on this. Another page from the My Book List book. This one has a color card, red, and a vintage advertisement for these little metal fashion highlights. La Mode buttons. Maybe it's not metal. Photo corners in there. Mary Englebright. This one wasn't written on, so I didn't have to add paper to the back. I love this pocket, and it's got 2 digitals inside. They had to be quite narrow because it gets narrow here at the bottom. This one has vintage tape on it. I didn't add that. Wallpaper, and it had writing at the top here, so I made a tuck spot, upper tuck spot, and this was a card that I had stamped on file folder. That's a digital card, and a sticky note, but I added some paper where the sticky stuff was. A butterfly. Another digital here of a lady cleaning her medicine cabinet window. It's another one of those iPhones. Double pockets with stamping. This is from a yearbook from, I think this one was from the 50s or 60s. Senior District Band Representatives. On the back is a library pocket. I didn't want to put it over here because it covered up some of him, and I just didn't want to. But that's a beverage label, and then this is one of the Amity Bloom washi tapes that I just got. And I stamped on this tag. So the cap that Mother made. Next we have Mr. Bear's house. I couldn't use a lot of the pages in this because they were really, really scribbled up with dark black crayon. I put photo corners on it, and because of that hot pink printing, I used the hot pink pom-pom, and this pink letter says B for bravery or B for Mr. Bear. It's got some fabric on the back and some vintage tape that was already on. I put some baby rickrack there. And I put a label up here. That's a digital. Miss Sunbeam. This is the card with the animal. So we did some of this book on video. This is from an old atlas, and I stamped on this one. This one has one of the Mother Goose cards. These are digitals that I added. Pickle bag. This card was all bent up, so I put masking tape, that's vintage masking tape, and a piece of cardstock, pattern cardstock there. Here's another of the decorated vellum bags with this vintage pattern illustration on it. Here's a photo here. It says at Central Park. Some of them are black on the back, or have black on the back where they were glued into. These are both digitals, glued into a scrapbook. I love the illustrations in this book. I was so upset that they were scribbled on. Quite a few of them were scribbled on pretty badly. Wallpaper. Got some things tucked in there, another stamped piece. See, the animals here were just circled, so I left them in. They weren't just scribbled all across them. There's a little digital from Red Deb with a couple things tucked in. This is a fabric tag. It's on file folder. And this is a picture of the senior high chorus officers. My signature. And last but not least is Songs to Sing and Play. And it has an S for songs or sing. This pom-pom is not vintage, but I love the colors with all the colors here. And I did add some fabrics to the back because it's got a lot of marks or dirt on it that won't come off. And this one has photo corners. I love this. She's cut from a greeting card. That's from Red Deb. These arrows that I've used are cut with my Big Shot. I have dies to cut arrows. This one has an eagle card. That's the card. That is vintage ledger and stamps. This is stamped. She's a digital. Lots of fun things in the pockets there. An astronaut card. Here's another pocket that I made with my Big Shot. A little pocket there, and I left it open in the back. And there's a photo, so I did put a photo in all of them. I added some paper that you can write on to the back of the bingo card, and this little flower lady was cut from a greeting card. And this is the clarinet section of the band from the yearbook. Looks like I have to glue that down better. And the back library pocket. So these are the first journals that I wrote 2025 on. I always put the year when I put my signature on the back. So in addition to the journal, you will get a pack of goodies. So I'll go through one quickly. We have a sheet of music. It's folded where you can see a sheet of graph paper folded and a page of green stamps. There's some price stickers, a password card, 2 cards, and there's a miniature card too. Miniature Monopoly money, that was for Travel Monopoly. A page of 3 labels. They're stickers. A doily. Oh, here's another card. And one of the Mother Goose cards. One of the fraction sticks. And some punched flowers. And a big variety of tickets. And 3 labels that are stickers. And one of these kind of die cuts and some little digital stamps. So stuff to play with. How did we do? We did it under 45 minutes. So I hope that you like these first journals of 2025. I started them in 2024 and they ran into 2025. And I have some exciting journals on the horizon, as I said in one of my craft along videos. So I'm excited to get cleaned up and get started on the next project. So I'll see you then. And my shop is linked below. I will link Leslie's shop where I got a lot of the cards that I used. And I will link Crafty Cat because I wasn't able to find her shop before, where I got those 3D pocket purses things. So I'll link my shop, Leslie's shop, and Crafty Cat. If you want to know about anything else, you can let me know or ask me a question, and I'll try to do my best to help you. I'll see you in the next video, and I hope that you are having a creative day and a happy new year. Bye.